In Luke 17, verses 26 through 27, and Matthew 24, verses 37 through 39, Jesus gave a description by claiming, as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the time of the Son of Man. And as we gaze at the characteristics of the antediluvian age, a new and startling event burst upon the world and fearfully accelerated the already rapid progress of evil. The sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. These words are often explained to signify nothing more than the intermarriage of the descendants of Cain and Seth. But a careful examination of the passage will elicit a far deeper and clearer meaning, for it was not until this event the Lord said, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the men who were of old, men of renown." The offspring of the union between the sons of God and the daughters of men were giants, which serves to reinforce the pre-flood evil in the world. Clearly, God abhorred the interbreeding of these two species. Hence, the sons of God are plainly distinguished from the generations of Adam. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men. The expression daughters of men includes the daughters of Seth as well as the daughters of Cain. Hence, the term men, in each case, is speaking of the whole human race, the descendants of Cain and Seth alike. The expression sons of God occur but 5 times in the Old Testament, twice in Genesis chapter 6 verses 2 through 4, and 3 times in the book of Job, chapter 1 verse 6, chapter 2 verse 1, and chapter 38 verse 7, and is in each of these cases indisputably used for angelic beings. Here, a son of God denotes a being brought into existence by the creative act of God. For the term sons of Elohim, the mighty creator, is to be confined to those who were directly created by the divine hand, not born of other beings of their own order. Hence, in Luke's genealogy, Adam is called a son of God, in Luke chapter 3 verse 38. And so also Christ is said to give to them that receive him power to become the sons of God. For these are born again of the Spirit of God in their inner man, and at the resurrection they will be clothed with a spiritual body, a building of God, so that they will then be in every respect equal to the angels, being altogether a new creation. It appears, therefore, that in the Old Testament the title sons of God is restricted to angels alone. This is the view taken by Josephus, Philo Judaeus, the authors of the Book of Enoch, and the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, and was generally accepted by learned Jews in the early centuries of the Christian era. The objection is raised on the statement of Jesus that the righteous dead, when raised, neither marry or are given in marriage, for they are equal to the angels. Luke chapter 20 verses 27 through 36. The claim is that the angels are sexless, and therefore cannot cohabitate either with themselves or human beings. While the passage implies that the angels do not marry, it does not say that they are sexless. What the passage does teach is that angels do not multiply by procreation. Angels were created, as far as we know, in mass, and as they never die, there is no necessity for marriage among them. Marriage is a human institution to prevent the extinction of the race by death. What Christ sought to teach the Sadducees was that as the resurrection would make men and women immortal, there would be no occasion for marriage relation in heaven. However much we may question the possibility of intercourse between angels and human beings, this account in Genesis clearly teaches it. A look at the epistles of Peter and Jude gives confirmation. Peter says, God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. And Jude says, the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he has reserved in everlasting chains in darkness until the judgment of the great day. The sin was the sin of fornication and going after strange flesh, in Jude chapter 7. The time of the sin is seen in 2 Peter 2:5 and is given as just before the flood. It is the same sin that caused the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, whose inhabitants demanded of Lot the surrender of the two angels that he had received into his home, that they might know them, that is, have carnal intercourse with them. Scripture also clearly teaches that angels can assume fleshly bodies and eat and drink with men. Genesis chapter 18 verses 1 through 8 clearly show this. So the difficulty vanishes when we see that the sons of God assume human bodies and as men married the daughters of men. The common view today that the world is to be converted by the preaching of the gospel, which will usher in the millennium, and that this dispensation is to be a glorious success, is not the teaching of Scripture. The Scripture teaches that the wheat and the tares are to continue growing side by side until the harvest, which is the end. That the good and bad fish are to be found in the same dragnet. That the sheep and goats will continue to browse together. And that the wise and foolish virgins shall keep on slumbering and sleeping until the bridegroom comes. Jesus told us that the closing days of this age would be like the days just before the flood. If we glance at the characteristics of those days of Noah, we shall have an idea of what to expect at the end of this present age. There are 9 characteristics in all. 1. A tendency to worship God simply as Creator and not as Elohim, requiring atonement for sin. 2. There was a rapid advance in civilization and in the arts and sciences. 3. There was a union of the holy line of Seth and the wicked line of Cain, much like today where believers are marrying unbelievers. 4. A vast increase of population and congestion of population in the great cities. 5. Undue prominence of the female sex and disregard of the primal law of marriage. 6. Unlawful intercourse of angels with the daughters of men. 7. The rejection of the preaching of Enoch and Noah. 8. And as the days of Noah, this present age will end in apostasy. And lastly, number 9, in Genesis 6:11, it says the earth was also corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with lawlessness. This lines up with what Jesus taught in Matthew 24 in verse 12, where he says, because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. So the earth is corrupt and filled with violence.